All right, welcome to the Business of Speed podcast. John Doonan, how are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm grateful that you all decided to come see the 64th running of the Rolex 24.
Well, thank you for having us.
Epic
Yes.
crowd. So, you know, the lead up to the event is very stressful for my team and I, but the energy that I felt on the grid walk and the start of the race and in these early hours, now I feel a calm, and it's time to put on a great show for the fans.
You said early hours.
I wanted to ask you, what time did your alarm ring this morning?
I didn't sleep so well. There's a lot on my mind, so I was up at 4:30.
Okay.
And I will not go to sleep, and that's not some heroic measure on my part, but we have an incredible staff of professionals at IMSA, and they need to, most of them, be up all night. Race control staff, pit lane staff, timing and scoring staff, and I think it's a bit unfair for me to say goodbye tonight at midnight and see them in the morning. So I rotate around to all the different functions throughout the night to support them, to get a read on how the race is going, such that, so come tomorrow night, I will be asleep and probably 12 to 14 hours straight.
But this is sort of a leadership style of yours, because we have heard that you are kind of the first man in the morning.
Yeah.
Leading by example. You want to, is that a principle of yours of leadership?
Yeah, I guess you'd call that, and I'm very pleased that people see that. As a little boy, my grandfather and my dad raced, and I was sitting on the couch usually at 4:30 in the morning, waiting to go to the racetrack with my backpack on and my clipboard and my little ear protectors. And my dad, of course, had been up all night working on the race car, and he was, dragging, tired. So that energy's still in me. I'm still a little boy on the other side of the fence. I still want to be part of it, but you're right. It is part of my spirit of leadership. And just this morning I have a ritual here at the Rolex 24. I want to be the first person in the garage area. Now, one of the race teams beat me today. They wanted to be first.
Which team?
Paul Miller Racing, BMW, from up in the Northeast, which is your home area.
Exactly.
And they wanted to get their car in the tech line first, because with 60 car field, they want to get the car weighed and measured and all that, and they wanted to be first, which is wonderful. But my walk this morning, something dawned on me, that the OEMs, the race teams, the Michelin, they have spent thousands of hours trying to go a tenth second, a couple tenths quicker. That, to me, for whatever reason, that hit me today, that the men and women who've designed these cars, built these cars, driven these cars, prepped them, turned wrenches on them, they have done all of that to come up Sunday as the winner of the Rolex 24, and then ultimately the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So that hit me today, and so my morning walk was filled with excitement to think about the people that make it happen.
So you were excited this morning. We're about 5 hours. We're about 5 hours into the race right now.
Yeah.
But about, let's say, 4.5 hours ago, how much was your phone blowing up? How many text messages did you get from teams?
I'm really happy. We have this thing called BOP. So you've got all these different platforms. It's very difficult for my engineers to take all the data and determine is the data that we're seeing truly accurate, or people sandbagging, things like that. And people will say I need to see a doctor, but I love BOP. Okay, here's why. We need it for our sport, because if you don't, costs are going to go up and people are going to cancel programs. So I'd like to present a stable platform with my teammates at IMSA, and leading up to the race, until the green flag falls, everybody says, well, I need more power, I need less weight, I need a bigger fuel or energy capacity. Yeah, do you know that that's right? And if you asked for that and I didn't give it to you, and suddenly she's been slow and she's passed you and she's miles ahead, you know what I'm saying?
My wife says this to me all the time. She says, if you give a mouse a cookie, you ever read that book?
Oh, I
read
that
it to my kids all the time,
Absolutely.
right? If you give a mouse a cookie, and then he's going to ask for a glass of milk, and then he's going to, all these
exactly.
So yeah, I completely understand that perspective.
I'm super proud
Yeah.
because after, we have the Aurora before the 24 last weekend. We had a preseason test, we call it, back in November. We've had a lot of meetings with the OEMs, and up until last night, there was a lot of feedback coming in. Teams, drivers, team owners, manufacturers. But I'm happy to say, and maybe I don't want to jinx myself, I haven't heard anything since the race started, which makes me excited. But there's still, to your point, 19 hours to go.
19
Yeah.
hours to go.
So we were lucky enough yesterday. We were at the technology symposium.
Oh,
That was wonderful.
It's an emotional time.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit. A few things about that. Not only that you got emotional speaking of Bill France and the history of the sport, because anyone who watches a podcast knows I'm such an advocate for the history of motorsport in general, and I feel it
I
matters
love your
so
story.
much.
Your story's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. And I also really wanted something that you said really touched a chord with me. You gave a shout out to Max Pappas and Oriol Servia. You said, I grew up watching you guys race. Like I can tell you're such a fan of motorsport.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's really so lovely to have someone so passionate about the sport, leading the sport. And now tell us a little bit about what you've launched, this incredible initiative, the IMSA Labs, in partnership with NASA. Tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, again, little boy, fan of the sport, but participant, watching my father race and all of his friends. Dreamed of being in the sport on the other side of the fence and being a participant. Got that chance with Mazda. Now I get that chance with IMSA. IMSA, as I shared, has always been a laboratory for over 5 decades for the automakers to come and prove powertrains, for Michelin to prove out the next generation tire. That's what I've always seen it as. And that's been happening in very authentically and real. And that gets me excited because I think the sport is entertainment, no doubt. It needs to be that development lab without a framework around it until yesterday. And I also want it to grow to the next level. For the next generation, the students that were at Embry-Riddle, the students that are watching tonight, the people that are watching their phones, looking at live telemetry, that for me means, I want to. The sport has given me so much, and I want to give back. And I think standing up IMSA Labs presses on the accelerator pedal harder. And I know just from all my research that that's what got me so emotional was Bill France Sr., John and Peggy Bishop, imagining them looking down at what we've done as stewards of this and being so insanely proud of it. And it's just about me and my IMSA teammates trying to deliver that for a long time to come.
You don't often see people that lead, corporations that care so much about what they're doing and passing it down and the legacy and, being at the tech symposium, seeing all the students there, knowing that they may design. We were talking a little bit about they might be designing the next airplane we're going to be on, or the cars we're driving, and how important it is to make sure they have access to the data, but also the resources to advance
and the opportunity, an internship or an interview with Dr. Eric Warner or Dr. David Salters from GM and Acura Honda respectively, Matthew K from Michelin, just the chance. I've had the right people at the right time, but for them to just have a chance to get to meet them and learn from them and shadow them is remarkable.
It's interesting you say that because I wanted a word with Eric yesterday, and Adrian Atkinson he was there.
Yep,
Adrian, who's lovely. I said, hey, you probably want to get him out of here, and he said, no, actually, I do, but I want every student who wants to speak to him, I want them to be able to speak to him because he could change someone's life.
Yeah. That's very.
It was so
very
powerful
well
when
said.
you said that. Yeah.
I am the same. Previously at Mazda, we had a driver development program. It was called the Mazda Road to 24 and the Mazda Road to Indy, and that was how I feel. And you look up the grid right now, and there's probably 24 drivers that were in that program, and it's like a proud papa, the kids.
For sure.
And the same would be for Eric and the others in that room. I would love to be part of, or have IMSA be part of, giving them an opportunity of a lifetime.
The youth we need the youth, right?
Yes.
Or else the sport dies at some point.
Yes.
We just had a conversation with someone today who said the exact same thing. How actually it was Marshall Pruitt. Marshall said it. How the age of the fans that he sees has come down, which is great because we need the sport to continue
very encouraging.
growing.
Very encouraging.
So let's talk a little bit about growth of the sport. What has IMSA done so differently? Is there one thing that you can point out and say that's exactly what we did to grow the YouTube channel, what you guys are doing, which I think is fantastic.
One tool in the toolbox.
One tool in the toolbox for sure.
Yeah.
But the growth. I mean, I think you guys are about to pass
NASCAR.
Inside. I know.
Tell them we're in the draft.
Maybe
We're
we'll
in
cut
their
that out.
draft. We're gonna slingshot past them as soon as we can.
But what do you credit to that overall transformation and growth?
Yeah, I think foundationally, and I remember this from being a little boy, going to Road America, Brainerd, Mid-Ohio, IMSA races. It was always open. You go right up and see the cars, see the drivers, see the crew, wide open. We've made that foundational. Every general admission ticket, you saw the grid walk today, guys, and it was insane. The same goes for the garage area and the paddock at all of our races. So that's first. Now, with the digital age and the opportunity to, if someone cannot be here, to put that experience in their hands, whether it's content we're shooting in the video with Marshall and the Co-Force crew and our digital team, or doing features on drivers and putting the personalities in front of the fans, the ability to share that so quickly and then have fans ultimately share it more. I think it happens a lot faster. The YouTube piece has been remarkable. We took a flyer. We just gave it a try, and imagine yourself watching that. You just told me your story. Imagine yourself, and you would have never slept. You would have just like you said, 6 a.m. on a Saturday. We all watched cartoons when we were growing up. At least I did.
Yeah, normal kids did. I was watching qualifying for a Formula One Grand Prix. Yes,
but now with the YouTube, I think we have 18 manufacturers, soon to be 19 when Genesis comes, that have fans all over the world. Now, outside of the U.S., you can watch this race flag to flag on YouTube at no cost. It's really special.
So tell us, any plans to race internationally? Talk a little bit about that. There's so much growth now. You can watch the sport all around the world. So what are plans about that, about going international?
Yeah, so just yesterday we had Pierre Fion from the ACO and Frederic Lequin from the World Endurance Championship. We have a strategic alliance agreement with them. They primarily are doing all of their series in Europe and Japan and some other areas in the Middle East. Because of our agreement, we really are focused on races in North America, Canada, and the U.S. And that gives us a chance to focus solely on that, which is fine. We don't need to. The costs of doing races outside the U.S. to our U.S.-based teams it's very tricky. It's not an inexpensive venture. And so we'll focus on what we have here. Now, we have a very stable schedule with a pretty solid date equity. So the fans know that the end of January is Daytona, third weekend in March is Sebring, Road America is the first weekend in August, and Motul Petit Le Mans is going to be one of the first 2 weekends in October. Okay. However, we still want to keep it fresh, just like all the content. We want to keep. Yeah. So we're always looking at venues in the U.S. of where could we race? Is someone establishing a new temporary circuit where we could, go race? But we want to keep the costs in check for the team. So we're at kind of a 10, 11 full weekends when you account for the Roar. Don't want to just keep adding hours. So if something goes away, you got to give it up.
Other series, I'm not going to mention who, but continue adding or want to continue adding races. You just said you don't necessarily want to.
Well, I want quality, not just quantity.
Yeah.
And I'm very conscious. I've had the opportunity to run race teams. I know that run time on engines, more tires, having to go to a new facility and test, more airfare, more hotel. It really is impactful. So I think what we tried to do here with IMSA is create a stable platform where everyone has a decently long runway. They know the schedule. They know how many tires they're going to have to buy, how much fuel they're going to have to buy. I just want to keep it fresh with maybe new markets, but just adding for the sake of adding, it's a really tough haul for us to put that in front of the teams and say, hey, your budget just went up by $200,000 or $500,000 for a weekend. It's tough.
No. This is the fourth year of GTP. I want to make sure I ask this. You're growing next year with Genesis. Mm-hmm. Is there any plans beyond that, or what would you like to see?
Well, I mean, Ford has announced a program. It's their announcement to make of when they're going to come. That's up to them. Same with McLaren. And, Zach Brown was here this weekend driving his vintage historic Jaguar.
So nice.
Yeah, I actually presented him
lovely car.
I presented a gift. I had found over the holidays a crew overall for that car from that program. And in this space that we're in right now, I presented it to him the other day. You know, he and I are both big historians of the sport, and we've raced together. And he was really moved because, you know, the crew used to, in the old days, they had white shirts and everything, and they would put this green overall. That it was from that program. And so anyway, but I've talked to Zach. Of course, they've announced they're coming to the top category. And so, you know, the North American market's really important to these automakers. They've said it themselves. So we want to provide a platform for them to come, market their road cars, and then tell their brand story.
So something that really, I think, contributes to the stability of a series is long-term partnerships.
Yep.
And you've recently announced 2, then today you announced the third one.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell people what those are?
Yeah, I think that's the other piece. Rules stability, so that the manufacturers can plan, develop, and not have this huge spending increase over a couple years every time. And it's a cycle. We announced back in October Michelin will be with us till 2035. They are one of the top 10 brands in the entire world, brand power. So that's really special for us.
Yeah.
Premium, incredible product. The new Pilot Sport Endurance. You've seen the surface, very slick. Actually, not so slick on the track. It heats up better.
I wanted photos.
Stunning.
I asked Vincenzo to take photos of me against those tires today.
It's like a work of art.
It's like a work of art. He goes, I said, no, not those. Yeah. They're a work of art for sure.
So Michelin's with us long term. WeatherTech
Yeah.
is a remarkable story. David McNeil and his family, what they've done for this sport. You know, made in the USA story. Great accessories. They're with us till 2030. VP Racing Fuels till 2030. Rolex as a series partner till 2031, and NBC as a broadcast partner till 2031. You know, you start establishing that kind of, and then Rolex, of course, is another 10 years on being the entitlement partner of the Rolex 24. So the fans know it's stable, the teams, the manufacturers, the other partners, and ultimately, I think that creates stability, and then people can plan and market around it.
That's fantastic.
Okay, we have 3 final quick questions.
No problem.
This one. If you had to get a new fan who knows nothing about IMSA, sports car racing at all, what would you tell them why they need to go to one of the IMSA races?
Yeah. They're going to see the best drivers on the planet. They're going to see the best manufacturers on the planet. They're going to see the best teams on the planet. They're going to see insanely beautiful race cars all across the field. The GTP cars, the prototypes, I'll tell them they look like the Batmobile, but they represent the styling of these brands, and they are the ultimate expression of these brands. And they are showing everyone what's possible. Hybrid technology, sustainable fuels, a tire that lasts extra stints longer, so we use a third less. Okay, that's what Michelin's done. In the GT cars, you're showing a beautiful race car that performs at its peak, an ultimate expression of that road car that they can identify with and maybe become a fan of that brand. And they're going to go really fast, and they're going to race really close together, and you're going to be on the edge of your seat because nobody knows who's going to win.
Yeah.
We were standing at the fence at the horseshoe for the start, and we both looked at each other like, my heart was pounding, like, as if we were up to race. I was like, oh my god! And they're flying by, and you're looking at them like every single car I looked at. We just looked at each other. I was like,
we couldn't believe it.
They sound great.
Alexei Garcian, the former president of Michelin USA, now leading Michelin's programs globally through the green flag for the race.
Yeah.
He was almost in tears when I saw him. He said, John, the energy that came off the track from the cars to me on the flag stand, he said that is the best moment of my life. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I just want to say something. I've been very lucky to go to many different races. Very lucky. What I've experienced here this weekend is something truly special. The camaraderie.
Yeah.
The sense of family, of friendship.
Yeah.
We made 100 friends in the infield in 20 minutes.
That makes me so happy because that's the culture that I remember as a little boy.
Exactly.
We have a little tent over here called the Apex Cafe. 90% of the teams eat there. Drivers, crew members, engineers, and that's they go out and battle on track, but that's the community kitchen.
And to your point, I've never seen it in any series the unprecedented level of access with a general admission ticket.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Is spectacular.
That
Like
means a lot.
people can really get up close and personal with these cars, with these garage mechanics, see them work on the car, see Marcus Ericsson walk by. It's quite
Yeah.
spectacular and really not so common anymore these days, unfortunately, because you don't have access to these
Yeah,
drivers.
yeah.
You don't have access, certainly, to the cars.
Yeah.
I even asked one of the mechanics, is it stressing you out? There's like 10,000 people around the car. They're like, no, we're used to it, and people are very respectful. They
Yeah,
won't touch the
yeah,
car.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was fantastic.
No, that's good.
Last 2 questions. Our final 2 questions we ask every single guest on the show.
Yep.
I will ask mine.
Yeah.
What is your favorite racetrack in the world? You can't say, because we're at Daytona right now, so you can't say Daytona
no.
in case it was
And
the answer.
I have to be careful because it's not a company-owned track. We own Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We own Sebring. But my favorite racetrack in the entire world is Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I was there when I was 6 weeks old. I have spent my life on the forests of Road America. I played with my Matchbox cars in the dirt there. I've gone there just recently over the holidays by myself with my daughter, and we exercised. And I don't know, it's heaven on earth.
Yeah.
My ashes will be spread there
Oh,
someday.
wow. David Hobbs lives nearby there.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
He's one of my heroes. But,
There you go.
yeah, it's a magical place, National Park of Speed, and again, it's all about having grown up there. And anyway,
So the final question we like to ask always, or this is my question.
Yep.
And I'm very excited to ask you because I really know that your roots and our deep love of motorsport.
Yeah.
So forget about trophies.
Yeah.
Forget about championships. Forget about series opportunities. Who do you think is the most naturally gifted driver you've ever been around or seen race?
ooh,
Naturally gifted.
Yeah. Alex Pillow, there's no doubt. He is set a bar that you haven't seen for a while. And I'm going to go a step further. And it was through the program Garage 56 that I had the chance to lead with Mr. Francis' vision of taking NASCAR back to Le Mans. And the 3 guys that drove in that program, Mike Rockefeller has driven pretty much everything on this earth. Jensen Button and Jimmy Johnson, really insanely good in their discipline. But then to come to a platform that was basically all brand new was really special. But I think Alex has really set the table and set the bar incredibly high. So that's what I would suggest from what I see in right now.
I think you've set the bar incredibly high as the senior leader of such a wonderful series.
Thank you.
You're leading by example. It's actually quite moving to have been here, to have witnessed this. We're so grateful to have been
Thank
hosted
you.
by IMSA. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for having us. And truly, to the folks listening, I would tell them, if you've maybe lost your love of motorsport because other series have turned too corporate, or if you don't know about motorsport at all and you want to try something different, I think sports cars and IMSA is
There's something really
something you should come see.
There's something really pure about IMSA, and so come see us at a race when it comes to your area. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you so much for your time.
so much.
Thank you, guys.